All right, guys, welcome to Whiskey Talkin. My name is Ryan Robinette. I am a country artist, songwriter, producer, living in Nashville, Tennessee, originally from Ohio.
Next on the chopping block, my name's Caleb Graham. I don't do much. I'm unemployed right now. I DoorDash sometimes, but no, what do I do?
That's a good question.
I've been asking myself that for about 8 months now. This is great.
I think most technically aren't all artists unemployed. I mean, yeah.
Technically.
But no, I'm excited to be here. We're here to drink ourselves into a depression and then talk ourselves right out of it. So today with us, we've got Megan. I learned her last name yesterday.
Megan Katarina.
Yes.
But
Hello.
I didn't want to say Katrina, it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, don't say that.
Megan.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce
Hello.
yourself?
Nice to meet you. I'm Megan Katarina. I'm not nervous at all. And I'm a singer-songwriter from Florida. I met Ryan like 10 years ago in Florida, and I don't know where to look. Where do I look?
You look at us, them, the audience.
Here, there's your camera on the right, far right.
If it makes you feel a little more comfortable, just pretend that camera's about 10,000 people.
I'm going to make...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make eye contact.
And then look at us. She just never blinks. Looks straight into the camera. I don't know what to do.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I made this awkward when I did my intro. Welcome to the podcast. This is Whiskey Talkin. You got Ryan Robinette, Caleb Graham, and we're here with Megan Katarina today, our first guest. So obviously you get to be like the test dummy for everything.
Yes.
But yeah, you're a singer-songwriter based out of Orlando.
Yeah, out of Orlando. I kind of go back and forth, but I travel and tour mostly. So that's where I'm from. That's where I base myself out of.
Yeah, so before Nashville, I was living in Central Florida as well, trying to get back into music and really knowing that like I had to. And I had met her, you were 16, right? 17?
Yeah, something like that.
And I remember listening to her play some songs that she'd written, and it lit a fire. How clever and stuff she was writing at that age already made me like step back and be like, why am I not doing this again? Like, what am I doing? So she really inspired me a lot to get back into songwriting and pursue music. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Like, that's what I'm here for.
I'm not a songwriter or singer, but I am curious about it. Obviously, I film music videos. I do music shoots, photos, and all that kind of stuff. We've talked about writing songs here and there at some point, but from an outsider's perspective, from the both of you, what goes into like a songwriting session?
I'll start.
I think it depends really, like whether you're writing solo or co-writing, because those are two very different things. I think I started songwriting when I was like 6, and essentially to me it was just like you have a feeling, you hear it into a melody, then you put it on paper and sing it. But then as I started coming to Nashville when I was 13 and taking like workshops and learning the craft and stuff. And you kind of take what you want from that once you get that structure. And for me, a solo writing session is like putting together a puzzle. I have an idea that I want to write about. I put it on paper. I write down the ideas that I want to fit in the song, and I cross them off as I go. And that can take anywhere from 5 minutes to like 5 days to 5 years, you know? Yeah. That's solo. And then co-writing is, I'm going to let you talk more about co-writing.
Like she was saying, I think the purpose of the writing session matters a lot too.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're writing for yourself, because as artists and writers, sometimes we write stuff for ourselves that are literally we just plan to be for us. And no intention of putting it out or anything too, but that's part of the process that makes you a better writer as well, and allows you to keep tapping into a lot of the vulnerabilities and stuff that you need when you're writing great songs. And then if you're in a room with an artist and they're trying to round out a record or an album, whatever, you have a little more of a guide to what you're writing for and what it should sound like commercially or whatever. So yeah, it's really, every session is going to be different. Yeah.
When I'm in my car, sometimes I'm like, dude, this would be like a fire song to make.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
You're like, he just sings and he's like, damn, I'm good.
No, to myself for sure. But have you ever had like a moment that you can like specifically remember where you're like, you had like this really good idea for a song and then you got home, you didn't write it down.
Yeah, a million.
And then you're like, damn.
Yeah. There's a book called Big Magic, and Elizabeth
talk about
Gilbert wrote this book. I read it, and she thinks of ideas as like things that visit you, and some of them will stay a while, and some of them will just like they're waiting for you to act on them. And if you don't act on them, some of them might be patient and wait for you, and some of them might be. And she believes sometimes like, if you hear a song and you're like, I had that idea, it's like, well, that idea didn't wait for you. You know?
You let it go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that, and I just thought that was such a cool way of looking at inspiration and creativity.
Yeah.
Visualizing it physically as something that you need to capitalize on while it's there.
Yeah, the worst part, it is like if you wake up at 5 a.m. and you have a melody or like a lyric in your head and you're like, I need to get up and write this down, and you're like, I'm gonna do it, and then you fall asleep, you wake up in the morning, you're like, am I allowed to cuss? I'm allowed to cuss. I feel like I'm not allowed to cuss.
You're allowed to cuss.
You're like, fuck! Like, I was supposed to,
Man.
Okay, we didn't say you could say that.
Went straight to the F word.
Wow.
Yep. Where's the delay button on that one?
I really, like, put some volume into it,
Yeah,
too.
you did.
Yeah. I wanted to distort the...
It didn't. No, they heard it.
Yeah.
But building on that idea, I feel like sometimes when I'm
she just snorted. we got it.
When I'm editing or like I have like something I need to work on, my like favorite time to do it like is just like when it feels right.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like awake. I'm like, oh no, like I'm awake. I'm not tired. I need to go work. And I think that sometimes is like the best time. Like I feel like you can make yourself a schedule ish, you know, obviously with what we do it's whatever, but I feel like it's more of a when you can kind of thing, and like when it feels right, and then those are when like the best outcomes happen.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think kind of what I was saying too, the in-between times, like it's good to keep going even though you know that maybe this song is not the song, but just to keep your chops up and stay in that mindset of creation and stuff too. Speaking of, we did not actually say Caleb is a great videographer, photographer. He does. Yeah.
I just told you guys I was unemployed.
I was like, we never went back and touched on that at all. So yeah, that's Caleb actually came from my hometown as well. We went to the same high school. So that's kind of how we connected. And that's up in Ohio, by the way.
And you wouldn't know it, but I did have a podcast before this where I did talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was unemployed at that time as well.
Yeah. It was I call it fun employed.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
That's so good.
His whole setup and stuff is because of Caleb's previous experience with podcasts and just his audio and visual technical knowledge.
I did briefly take a sales job here. And I like, you know how you get like spam calls, like I was the spam call that came to your door, so you had to answer it.
Hell yeah.
And that was tough.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing. It was Justin, I love you. I actually became really good friends with my manager there, but I called him one day. I was supposed to go to Clarksville or something, and I was like, I can't do this. And he's like, dude, yeah. He's like, I know. He's like, I'll come meet you. So he came over to like my apartment building. He's like, so you don't want to knock on doors anymore, huh? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Nope, that was never on my dream board, actually.
But shout out Justin. He's a super cool dude. And he wants to start a power washing business, so we're going to help him out with that too.
There you go.
You'd be a really bad Jehovah's Witness if that wasn't for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd just be a bad witness in general. Yeah, I didn't see anything. Yeah, I'm a bad witness, bad snitch. 'Cause I didn't see nothing.
All right.
You want to go into rapid fire?
Actually,
I'm
like, while we're on this, you did put out a book that you can find like on Amazon and most digital stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So, poetry was like my gateway to songwriting. I always loved poetry. When I was a kid, my dad would recite poems like over the campfire, a guy named Robert Service. And they were like very dramatic poems about this guy's trip to the Yukon and stuff. And then I started reciting poems, Shel Silverstein, and then I started writing songs. And I had all these poems that like I've built up over the
I'm gonna
years.
put you on the spot first.
What?
Can you recite one?
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
All right.
It's a Robert Service one, and I'll probably forget some words. But
That's all right. Give it a shot.
in 5th grade, I recited this poem for a class project. There once was a square, such a square little square, and he loved a trim triangle. But she was a flirt, and around her skirt vainly she let him dangle. Oh, he wanted to wed, and he had no dread of domestic woes and wangles, for he thought of his fate was to procreate cute little squares and triangles. And it happened one day in that geometric way. There swaggered a big bold cube, and his haughty stare made that square have the air of a perfect boob. To the cube's sweet spell, the triangle fell, and she filled with love's sickness, for she took delight in his breath and his height, and how she adored his thickness. And that poor little square just died of despair for the love he could not strangle, while the bold cube led to the bridal bed, that cute and acute triangle.
And that was, when did you recite that?
5th grade.
That's what I was like.
I've never had friends.
Well, we were playing tetherball.
You didn't have friends, but you had, a lot of dudes were
falling off
excited.
the monkey bars, and she's over here reciting that stuff.
Yeah, I'm insufferable.
A lot of little boys.
Awesome. I hate to derail all that, but if you want to pick up where you were.
Okay, yeah. So poetry to me is connected to songwriting. And during COVID, like during the pandemic, I started like getting all of these poems and putting them together, editing them. And I was going to just publish a poetry book. I have some friends, shout out Azul and Steve, authors who lead. Basically, they help people write books. And they were like, we are huge fans. We want to help you. And I started like assembling this poetry book. And then I was like, there's so many like stories to all these poems. And I remember exactly where I was. And this can be created into like a mini memoir. So basically I put them together. I added the stories behind the poems. And I ended up calling it Storied. And it's a poetry book, but it's like about the power of storytelling. And it's also a little bit about my life, like creating music and writing from the time I was 13 and then traveling the country playing music. And I put it out in 2023, funded it on Kickstarter. And it's called Storied. You should go check it out.
Can I get that on Amazon or like?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on my website. It's it's in the trunk of my car. Like it's everywhere. So
if you can't find it on Amazon, you just track her down. Yeah. Follow her on social media.
Yeah, just stalk me.
Yep.
And honestly, I prefer that. So
we'll put links below the video and stuff for that as well.
Yeah, Amazon's good. Yeah.
And Ryan actually just went to Africa, which is a cool story. We're going to get into that. You probably already watched that if you watched the pilot episode for this. But if you want to touch briefly on it, I guess, in case they missed it.
So my sister-in-law was getting married to a guy who was originally from Ghana, his family, and they invited us over to do like a traditional wedding. I was a part of it. And I mean, it was just a great experience. I will go into way more detail. Eye-opening,
click the link right here above Ryan's head.
Yeah. But just a really, really cool experience, and met some really cool people that might end in some music collabs and stuff over there in Ghana as well. So yeah,
The outfits were lit.
the outfits were lit.
You saw them on the stories.
Well, but I might try them on the next podcast.
I'm going there literally just for a new wardrobe.
Yeah.
Divas everywhere there.
I'll go there for a new diet. I'll tell you that. You were talking. Yeah, no, we'll get into that later. We'll cut that.
We'll edit that out.
We'll edit that. But no, I do want to get back when you're talking about poetry. Is 5th grade, like, is that kind of like when you got into it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because, like, I won a poetry contest when I was in high school.
Really? That's cool.
We had like 100 kids in our school. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like, whoa, you know.
What kind of poems are you? Are you a limerick guy? I'm a limerick guy.
You know what? I wish I knew. I'm a limerick guy. Everybody was like, wait a second. Hold on. No, I don't know. I was like, that's why I want to write some songs too at some point, is because I'm like, I get the concepts, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're creative.
But
That's what everybody else in this town says too.
yeah.
You get it.
You get it, right? Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
We
But
do
5th
not
grade's
get it.
early. Like 5th grade's very early to like
Thank
be
you.
on that. And obviously Ryan
Yeah.
met you when you were 16, so that's kind of
Yeah, crazy.
that's like such an interesting thing to be like doing at that age too.
Yeah.
And again, and being very, very good. Like, I mean, comparable. Some of the stuff is still better than some of the stuff I hear in Nashville today. So, yeah, it was really cool and inspiring. And I was just like, man, what am I doing? Because this girl's like got it, and I need to like go get back to work, basically. Yeah. So it was really cool.
Yeah. And I'm like obviously very fresh to Nashville. I'm about 9 months in, and we talked a little bit before the podcast too about how you've seen it change. I'm sure Ryan, he was taking a pee break or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Pee, weed. I don't know.
You know me.
Pee weed Herman. But no, and you want to touch a little bit on that about like how you've seen at least
Since
the city
maybe
change.
start with the first time you came to Nashville
gosh.
too, which was way back, right?
Okay. I'm
And
gonna
what you
sound
got
like a
to do-
little bit
yeah,
of a
no.
dinosaur.
Yeah, and what? Right?
Yeah.
You were 12 or something, but
I was literally 12. Yeah.
and then kind of what you did and the people you met.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So Taylor Swift was my hero. It starts with her, and
It always does.
and it ends with us.
You know how many stories?
Go watch it now on Netflix. Thank you for sponsoring.
I was writing songs
Well, you
like
see
all the
Taylor
time.
Swift. There we go.
I was writing songs all the time when Taylor Swift started coming up, but I didn't know how to play guitar. And I saw her playing guitar, and I thought, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And I don't think I'm the only person who thought that. It seems like there was an influx of girls, like songwriter girls, right after Taylor Swift, because we all saw the same thing. But I started Googling, like, Wikipedia. I actually still remember reading, like, how did Taylor Swift get discovered? She was at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. And my dad had just retired. He loves music, loves country music. And
I love your dad, by the way. Yeah,
Thank
he's
you.
awesome.
That makes one of us. Just kidding. Just kidding, Mike. So I begged him. I was like, Dad, this is where I need to be. I need to be in Nashville. And it didn't take like that much convincing because my dad already was a huge fan of music. And we went that summer, did like, all the tours, went to CMA Hall of Fame, all that. And it's completely different. I mean, Tootsie's was different. I went up on stage and sang a few songs. I think we've all had that experience. And Ernest Tubb Record Shop, like the whole downtown was completely different. All the stores, all of the bars. It was more historical. And went to the Commodore Grill, which was like a big networking place back then.
Where's the Commodore?
Holiday Inn. Yeah, Commodore. It's still a big networking place, but I think it was even more of a thing back then. And I immediately met some songwriters, like got on the open mics, played some songs, made connections, and we ended up taking trips there every few months because, again, my dad was retired and he ended up living his dream vicariously through me, which is a trauma we're not going to get into.
I mean, a million
Respectfully.
other American girls and boys can line up right behind you with that one.
Yeah, exactly. And so I started going up and playing like Writers Rounds, Commodore, Bluebird, got into Bluebird, and all of that.
Again, and all before, what, you were 12, 13?
Yeah. I really worked on learning the craft. Like I did a lot of workshops, and a lot of work with like NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association. International? Yeah. Did like a lot of work with them, and I took a lot of feedback and like honed the craft of a song. And that's why I don't follow any rules now, because I'm like, I spent enough time doing that.
And to that point, that's something that I naturally, like, I think had an idea of structure and stuff as well.
Exactly.
But listening to your stuff, and at that time where I was really truly like, how do you make a song? How do you hide a hook?
Yeah.
Leave breadcrumbs to it and really give people that aha moment at the end of the first chorus. And I learned a lot of that from you early on too.
Thank you.
And just really dissecting a lot of that and going back and dissecting a bunch of songs I've loved my entire life. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there's
that.
a few like key pieces of advice that like I was given when I was a kid that I still follow to this day as far as songwriting goes. But the main thing I think that like ingrained that structure, and maybe you can relate, is like reading the booklets and CDs. Did you do that? Yeah. Like I did that as a kid, Martina McBride, and I was like verse, chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus. Okay, that's what I need to do. You know, like. Yeah,
and it's something that, again, I think I did naturally. I did a lot of things naturally without having any music education at all.
Yeah.
That I figured out later why. I figured out why that felt natural.
Exactly.
Why. And then, like, as you said, like, when you feel like you know and understand structure and all the rules, and that's when you truly can experiment and get outside of that box.
Yeah,
Instead of, it's like, you can always come back to what is expected, but that gives you the freedom to try to break those barriers some.
Yeah, agreed.
I think, you've done that really well, too.
Thank you. Thanks. People, I'm not going to say.
All right, so where are we at now? All the way up until, what else were you doing? So you were playing shows around Central Florida?
Yeah, so I started playing shows around Central Florida.
Same age, this is all like...
From like 13 to 17. I took a break for like a couple years in high school because I was actually embarrassed of the fact that I did music, which is crazy. But I thought it was weird. I was weird.
Bunch
but
of nerds.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
now
that had nothing to do with
it's
music,
like
but-
I'm weird, and that's a cool thing. But back then it was like hide all of your differences from the.
And there's a weird like age like range where I feel like it is that it's sports or everything else important, and there's only a few people that gravitate towards the arts like wholly at that age, and so you do kind of feel like an outsider, like I feel like initially, and then by the time you get to 16, 17, 18, where everyone thinks music's cool, now they're kind of jealous of you too.
Exactly.
And you still have to put up with stuff. Yeah.
So when I took kind of a break from like 14 to like 16, and then started going back to Nashville, recorded a couple albums, and then during that time, and then I was just touring around Florida, like had a band, toured a bunch around Florida, and did some other side quests, fell in love with some toxic men and
sold drugs,
etc.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I bought an Airstream and I never fixed it up. So that's the end of that story. Traveled a lot. And then I ended up coming back up here and moving in with this really crazy couple.
Yeah. So Megan, after we moved up, I'd been here, I think a couple years or about that. When Megan moved in with us, basically, what was it, 2018, 2019?
It was 2017.
And then through 2018.
I think I lived with you until like 2019. I went on tour.
You got your own place then.
Yeah.
bought that place, and then 2020 happened.
Yeah, and then
I
and
just
my
missed
life
you
was
then.
ruined for a
'cause
few years.
I just started coming down here. What, 2020?
Yeah, that's
Something
the
like that.
Really?
story of Nashville. Close
Wow.
calls,
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
missed connections.
Yeah.
But no, so I know, like, you changed your outfit a few times before we.
No one knows this, but now you do.
But now you know.
Yeah.
So like, what were you trying to give?
Yeah, what kind of vibe were you trying to give?
Like, for the people out there, you know, they're like, they've obviously already like built their own opinion of you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know right now they're looking. They're like, I bet you that's the third thing she tried on.
Yeah.
So tell us why.
And it's actually the second, but it's the fourth one she put on.
Okay.
You do the math.
Do you want me to tell you my
Yeah, I mean, in a
tagline?
joking, like, not, but like, what's your aura? You know?
Pretend like you didn't rehearse this tagline and then say it to us.
I would say hot, quirky hippie girl with some wisdom, not for everyone, but definitely for some.
And I think the audience would agree that, like, yes,
Yeah,
it gives.
it gives.
Thanks.
What gives?
Not. I think Ryan's trying to give, like, I don't know. Ryan wears a lot of black.
Yeah,
trying to
that's
give.
what I was going to say.
It's giving.
It was a nice change going over there and wearing some of the
Some color.
Ghanaian
Nobody's
colors.
stopping you.
Some beaded
Like, that's your own mentality.
beaded
Stop it.
pieces.
Yeah,
You
I
can
just-
whip out the
it's
beaded
easy,
pieces
man.
now.
Well,
Yeah.
Ryan?
We'll go into that, but I
We'll
mean,
get into that.
all the successful people pretty much wear the same thing every day, and I was like, maybe this will work for me. I don't know.
I did.
So far, not helping, but we'll see.
Yeah.
No, I this morning I had like an interview thing for like this sports photo thing, and I wore like khakis and like a polo, and part of me was like, I might just leave that on because this is episode 1. Like, nobody knows. You
Yeah,
know?
what she dressed up for.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, like, I could have been anybody.
Yeah.
I could have been whoever I
You
wanted to
could have
be,
reinvented yourself and your image.
but I didn't. And so, what does that say about me? You know, like, really?
I would say you're lazy, but
Yeah. Yeah, I packed extra clothes that's to change. And no, but I was thinking about it, like, on the way here. I was like, what do I want to look like for like
kind of
episode 1?
Yeah, what are you giving?
The image for
Yeah, right now I'm giving skier. Apparently,
Yeah.
I've got like a
Skier?
Colorado
We'll
skier.
change some stuff. Oh, speaking of.
Is that your?
Yeah, Takoradi. So that's his city on the coast in Ghana. I forgot that I had it on.
Yeah, no, I went with
your-
just the Bass Pro. I was trying to be
Yeah.
like the basic frat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're giving like there's a dip in my mouth, something like
Well,
that. Like
Not,
or at
not
least
anymore.
the skull ring in his
You
back
said not
pocket.
anymore.
Yeah.
But no, I've got the vape, I've got the drink, you know, I've got the Bass Pro hat, so I'm good. Like, I'm the guy
Yeah,
that's like,
you look more like a songwriter than either one of us right now. Actually.
yeah, that's
You
true.
look like you belong on Music
look
Row
like
with
a-
your vape and whiskey.
well, I needed to
and-
fit in, so I was like, if I'm not a songwriter, at least I can look like one.
Nailed it, dude.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
And there we go. And
I didn't have any of you guys didn't give me any of the mushrooms or whatever you took before this podcast.
yeah, no, before this podcast, actually, I was really depressed, but
I was really depressed. I was really
And now-
depressed too. Been
But-
crashing out, as my younger friends say.
yeah, I feel like for white people, like
All right,
Like, crashing
where's
out-
this one going?
I don't know. I feel like when you're white, you gotta be like, oh, sorry, I was goofing off, you know? Like, you can't.
Just being silly over
Sorry.
here.
I was just being real silly. Like, you can't. Crash Out's
Okay.
very, like,
Oh,
like hard
geeking
nosed.
out.
Yeah, I feel like
Maybe.
I should be in like a flannel or like a nice like sweater and be like, man, I was goofing off yesterday.
Joshing. He's just joshing
Something
around.
got into me. I don't know what got into me.
That horse.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
We need another
on
girl
track.
here.
Can we pull that one up?
What the horse? Your last full-length album, which is called "Being Crazy Ain't for the Weak."
That's a horrible segue, but I
Oh my
love it.
God.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to move.
I'm scared. Okay.
I'm not. I brought up horse dicks.
Okay, what's your question?
But yeah, like how's your album? I'm just
Yeah. Back to
Okay,
we'll
let's
get
start
a little
over.
serious again.
and we could totally cut any of
Cut
this.
all of that out, please.
So you released a full-length album that you recorded here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Almost all of the songs, I believe, you wrote by yourself, all except a couple. And that was your first full-length album in quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And you can go ahead the title and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so when I moved to Nashville, I was really struggling with, at this time, it's funny because it hasn't been that long, but at that time it was like still really taboo to bring up like anxiety and depression and be like, I have anxiety. I had just went through a really bad breakup with a guy who I was convinced was the love of my life. And when I got like diagnosed with anxiety, it was kind of like he acted like I was crazy. And so I was like, well, if you think I'm crazy, then I guess I am crazy. Let me just act crazy. And it just kind of snowballed. We both just kind of like...
Very human thing.
Yeah.
Very human reaction. Like,
yeah. And so I was heartbroken and I moved up here. You know, we were living together. We had a bunch of conversations about this.
On the kitchen floor
Yeah.
at like 3 a.m. So
that whole album really, like most of it, besides I'm Getting Drunk, was like me processing that breakup and the feeling. I think I put like a lot of meaning into things. Like I thought that was it. That was my only chance at love. Never gonna get another chance again. And I really believed that wholeheartedly for like 2 years. And I put just all of those feelings of feeling like I'm crazy, feeling like no one will ever get me. And like I'm unlovable because I'm such an anxious person and such a like deep thinker. And I put it into these songs on that album. Ended up recording it here with Jared Anderson. And you had a cut on that song, Doing What's
Yep.
Easy, me, you, and Jared.
It's a fun one.
And put it out in spring. Actually, I think it's like the birthday of that album, like a few days ago. Put it out in spring of 2018. It was really like a turning point for my career, I feel like, because when I was sharing about it, it was like I was telling the stories. I was crashing out. I was goofing off when I wrote this song. That's what I was saying.
I think, yeah.
And people were like, me too. And I was like, you too? You're not alone. They were like, you're not alone. And it was beautiful.
You were kind of doing that right before we had an influx of real stuff in music, starting in the pop world, and we talked about that too.
Yeah.
Like you kind of did that, but at the same time, like not quite at the same time, but not long afterwards, we saw a big influx of anxiety, like people in pop writing about anxiety and depression and dealing with all of that. And the complications of being an artist in the public eye as well on top of that, and being judged constantly for the art you're creating that's talking about that stuff.
Yeah, and I also think it was like the age right before like everybody had anxiety, because we talked about this the other day. We were kind of like the last generation to grow up without having a screen constantly in front of you. I mean, I had Instagram in high school, but other than that, it was like I wasn't really thinking about how I'm perceived all the time. And like my nieces are, and everybody else who grew up after me
That's why you
did.
changed shirts 3 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Not thinking
Caleb's
about
over
how
here
I'm
just
perceived.
thinking about himself and like whether he should have wore his polo or not.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I think now it's like it's so much more common to talk about anxiety because like it's an anxiety inducing way of life to be constantly thinking about other people are looking at this. I'm posting my life. I'm here. I'm
and
there.
watching what you say, and like again, maybe you saying something just completely innocently that is misconstrued. and,
Exactly.
yeah, you're demonized for it.
Yeah,
So
like when you called me 47, I'm sure that was totally
Yeah, no, you I got under your skin very quickly. But
he won't even look at you right now.
I'm scared. I'm gonna look at the audience. Help. No, but on that same note too is like anybody growing up like at that point in life, it just feels like, especially now everyone's got an iPad when they're 4.
3.
You know,
Yeah.
you determine your happiness based off of, oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah. But you determine your happiness based off of like the internet
Yeah.
And I did that. So like when I was like building my like Facebook page before it got deleted, or I don't even know what happened to it. It got obliterated off the face of the earth. Like literally for no reason either. Like I was sleeping and I woke up and someone was like, hey, where's the page? Cause like I post pictures and stuff on there. And
that's terrible.
I was like, got lost in the cloud.
And literally like Facebook was like, yeah, it's permanently deleted. Like, also good luck contacting us about it.
Wow.
That's pretty much what they do.
And at that point it was just like, well, that's what I built since I was 18, this is all I've known since high school. What do I do? And so it took a long time to like fix your mentality of my life is determined by how many people follow me versus
exactly.
who actually cares about me.
Like, and we almost, to your point, we value ourselves based on that stuff more than our true relationships in life or just the art that we are actually creating. It's more about how many people have heard it, how many people have seen it. Like, not even how many people like it or like that doesn't even matter. It's just numbers, and just adds to the anxiety as well.
And
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I feel like COVID really like pushed that a lot. But now I feel like so many people have like woken up to it of like, oh, there is a lot more to life than this.
Yeah, I think COVID was the kind of the catalyst in a way though, because it gave people a lot of time to think. And even the people that wanted to get back to the rat race, I feel like in general, most of the people and friends that it wasn't the same. They didn't get back full steam.
No.
I started to see way more balance in all of their lives than just work myself till I can't like function anymore. And so I think that you're right. We are seeing kind of a swing, and just as far as like mental health and everything too, I think that's all been kind of co-aligning with people kind of processing what happened in 2020 still and how they want to be happy.
Yeah. And I was just back to your point. I was just thinking about how so many creators, like I think we're all pretty fed up with the fact that like I've spent all this time building this following. I have these followers on my social media and my followers can't see my posts. Like we're all very fed up. And then you see these new updates from social media platforms and they're like, we're gonna start showing you content we think you like, and it's gonna be great. And it's like, I would just love you would just show my content to the people that went to my profile and hit follow. And so that can be really discouraging because you post, like, for me, all my music is super vulnerable and it's like a diary page. And you're posting that on the internet and it's like 1/10 of your followers see it. And maybe a few people commented and they're like, this is exactly how I feel. And that should be enough. But like in my head, I'm like, I'm a loser. It's not enough.
No, it's crazy how much is I mean, obviously everything's an algorithm anymore. Like, it doesn't matter where you're posting, when.
I had this was an actual thing. It was that Meta had sent. That was a best practices for growing followers, and it was kind of like an outline of things you should do. And this was directly from them. And I'm going to tell you that the first 4 had nothing to do with creating original content whatsoever.
Exactly.
It was find trending songs, use trending songs, like you find trending stories and post your opinions on them, things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so really it's just like mimicking other people is what they're telling you to do to get views.
Yeah.
And they're not like doing anything to inspire true creativity.
Yeah.
And I feel like just in general, that's how the art business works.
Yes. Like if you want to be, if you want your original stuff out there, like be like everyone else until you have,
because that's how people are going to see it.
And then make
it's disgusts me.
And then do whatever you want. Like, whatever. But then again, as algorithms change, does that even matter?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that from like a singer's perspective. You know, for me it was devastating. Like, and I'm just posting people's weddings. Like, it's not it's not me. You know, like where that would be really hard. But like when I was posting, I knew if I post a wedding video, it's getting at least 15,000 views. Like that's what it was doing, and it was just the algorithm. It wasn't like I was doing anything special.
Yeah.
I wasn't like sharing it to certain pages. And then
right before they started giving like the monetizing
yeah,
stuff too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you lost
Yes.
all of that.
Yeah,
I
all of
remember
it.
because he had some
Sorry, I didn't mean to
videos that were
laugh.
going like
And
crazy viral.
There were some that
Yeah.
were like 500,000 just on some random wedding in like the middle of nowhere. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you know, I knew it was like, I was on the algorithm. I'm like, great, this is great. But was I doing anything different? No, I could post the same exact sequence of weddings and the same
Yeah.
exact sequence of whatever. And I'm not, unless they just choose to pick your page or, you
Yeah.
know, like, and you're doing something very specific
There are
for
some
them.
random variables that like
Yeah.
we probably couldn't even like
Think about they're the one person that clicked on it.
shared
Yeah.
that person had a lot of followers who were active at that time or
Mm-hmm.
but you know there's that stuff too, but overall the point is they're not even trying to tell you to create like
Yeah.
good stuff. They're like do something off the wall or
Yeah.
Zany was one like in the first 3 seconds of the video to capture people's attention, and I'm like, so you want me to be an idiot in the first 3
Yeah,
seconds
yeah. And
so I can tell them about this song that I wrote about my dad dying or like whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, hey guys, like what?
Yeah, no, it's like TikTok was like the like crescendo of all that. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, by the way, most people will scroll through a video in 1 second, so get their attention.
Yeah,
You're like,
and
I can't
if
say
you
a
have
word.
anything interesting to say, they probably won't listen because their attention spans are fried by our algorithms.
No, it is crazy, and like
So
I'm not
is
trying
mine, by
to
the way.
call my like friends and girlfriend out, but like. I'm trying to figure out how to
Yes.
make.
Put 'em on blast.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn how to like make sourdough, right? Because I got this sourdough starter because I'm very white, and I keep bringing back to. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
you really-
by
but
the
like
way.
sourdough is just such like a like rich person thing, and like we just
No.
live in like an apartment complex, and so I got this sourdough starter thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this 15-minute video on like how to make sourdough bread,
Yeah.
and I'm watching it, and they're like, you know, you can find that on TikTok, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I could click and watch and pause,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but I'm gonna listen. Like I'm gonna take a moment and like read.
Yeah.
Like it's just so like even like the idea of like a 15-minute video being long now is
Yeah.
so like
This podcast that like only maybe 1% will actually listen to the entire thing,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have to break it up into short reels,
and the clips
yeah,
are gonna
yeah.
be what people watch.
just to get,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll get people that are like, all right, cool, might be worth my time. I'll go try to watch a full one or listen to
Exactly.
a full one. But yeah.
And side note on sourdough, I can help you with that. But I'm gonna be
good.
like buyers beware. It'll take over your life.
that's what I'm worried
Sourdough.
about.
The most stressful
Yeah.
time of my
For
life was
cooking.
when I was doing sourdough.
so
It's like having a baby.
so that's why you really named the album that.
Yeah, it's about the sourdough.
It wasn't
No,
the
that happened
breakup
later.
didn't really do it for him, but that's sourdough.
Yeah, no, they're like, you gotta feed it and like tend to it, you know. And I'm like, whoa, like
I'm not trying to.
I
grow
want
bread.
to, like, don't
And
get me
you
wrong.
Have to you have to cook when it's like peak bubbly.
I
too.
know. Yeah, don't even get me started. I've been consuming info and I haven't like tried it yet.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a lot.
Starting the culture is the easiest part, and then you have like all the sourdough and you're like, I can't throw it away, I gotta make discard donuts. Like it just keeps going, and then it goes out of control.
What is the bread culture?
And it sticks to everything.
Bread culture.
What's bread culture revolve around?
Well, let's see. There's
bread culture's
focaccia,
toxic.
sourdough.
It's maddening, is what it is.
It's just one of those things. Like it takes a while, you know. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't take like 12 hours to make sourdough. Like
Just
once
go to
you
the
start.
farmer's market. That's my
Yeah, but
But it's like the simplicity of turning your brain off.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and doing something
and
like
not having to worry about pause because there's just one instruction and I'm going to figure that out. And
Yeah.
like go back here and then go back in it, like versus like just listening and like
Mm-hmm.
actually retaining it and soaking it as you're doing it. You're not just following instructions.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You're having an experience that will make you remember it versus just like, yep, here.
Yeah, no, it is like, it's weird how podcasts have thrived, like, in the last
Like
10
the
years.
only long form
Yeah,
content
right.
that's doing well anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
Like-
don't you think it's also because like most people are driving when they listen to them, and
Yeah.
we know for me like I no longer have the attention span to listen to music for like 8 hours.
It's like a white
Yeah.
noise. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
crazy.
really listening. You're just like, oh.
yeah.
I get it.
Um,
All right.
but yeah, full circle is like I feel like everyone has anxiety now, and that is true because of the way that we are so connected to it. Because we're all doing sourdough. We're doing it like it's a drug.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's funny. But we all have anxiety now because we're so connected to everything, and just our prefrontal cortex just can't handle that. The point is, I had anxiety before it was cool.
It's true, man. Kidding. She was just out there anxious as shit.
But yeah, my anxiety was even, I've always had anxiety since I was a kid.
Same.
And a lot of people have. I don't think I'm special in that regard. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think
creatives in general,
we're more susceptible to that. I remember being 10 years old, crying, and going to my mom and being like, we're all gonna die. It's just heavy all the time in my brain.
She's like, why do you think I'm drinking this? I know.
But just learning to deal with the anxiety and dealing with I think also dealing with medication and being thrown too many things from my doctor and not actually being listened to. I'm not against medication, but I just feel like doctors don't really listen to you. And so I was going through all that, going through therapy. I decided to name the album Being Crazy Ain't for the Weak because I wrote this song and you were the first person that told me I should record it. It's called Being Crazy Ain't for the Weak. And it's basically about, I thought you'd love me, but the other part of me was right all along. I'm too crazy to be loved. But you know what? It takes strength to live this way, to have these thoughts in the back of your head all the time and be strong and act like I'm a normal person.
Be able to be aware of, oddities,
it's
social
functioning anxiety,
social oddities or whatever that are part of you as a being that maybe other people don't get, and it is hard to be aware of those
exhausting.
things.
Yeah. And it takes strength. And I remember that I played you that song and I wasn't going to record it because I had showed it to my parents and they didn't like it because they don't like anything that's too close to home. It hurts them to hear me hurt,
It feels semi self-deprecating.
Yeah. And so I was like, it's not good. And you're like, no, everybody, I feel that way. Yeah. Good.
Also, just their empathy for you.
Yeah.
And, knowing that that's how you feel is not easy, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you told me I should record it, I kind of started exploring, what if I did just put my vulnerability on display and, used that. I didn't actually actively think, I'm using it to connect to my fans. But I was like, this makes me feel really good to share. And not everybody gets it, but when someone's like, I felt that way, it's that is just magical to me. That's why I'm alive. And I decided to make the whole album about that, and it did really well.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, Naked.
Yeah, He's Seen Me Naked.
Yeah, that was great. You entered that into a competition or something too, right? Did pretty well.
Yeah. It got third, I think, out of 2,500 submissions.
Bullshit. Should have been number one.
In the Nashville Songwriters Association International, their contest.
But still, out of 2,500
and
songs.
John Lennon, too. It placed in John Lennon, too. Yeah.
Really cool. And
thank you.
We'll have those links below as well.
Thank you.
What's your favorite off of that? Because I think you probably have one in particular I'm thinking you might choose.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you think I'm going to say Anchor, right?
No, actually.
Anchor's
a great song, yeah.
Anchor is probably one of my favorites because I actually wrote it before I moved to Nashville and went on this kind of journey of exploring my feelings and my brain. And I was dating a guitar player. Don't do that. And he was out at a gig and I was really sad. I felt like there was this disconnect between us, and I thought that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I was on my bedroom floor. I wrote a poem about being with an anchor and them drowning me. And I thought I should turn that into a song that's really depressing. And I turned it into this song called Anchor. And
it does not feel depressing now.
Yeah, it's a song about hope because the end is about, cutting the anchor and swimming up. And to me, that's my favorite because like there's so many people that have come up to me and been like, I have an anchor in my life, and just that life is about that redemption, you know?
Yeah. There's I think that's something that innately humans feel, and it could be multiple things. It doesn't have to be another human that's weighing you down, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that in the regards of like how many connections it brought me to my fans, like Anchor's definitely that, because it was so personal. It was one of those things I felt like it came through me. Like I didn't actively think what I was writing. And it was like 10 minutes on the bedroom floor. And then people, that meant something to people. Like that means the most to me, you know? But what did you think it was going to be?
8 months sober.
That's definitely a second favorite.
It's a cool one. As we're sitting here drinking.
Cheers. Yeah.
But it's not about drinking.
No. It's about, so I guess the album, that Anchor's about the person before this person, but other than that, it's just two people being acknowledged on this album. And I wanted to write a song about getting sober from love and getting sober from feeling like you're addicted to somebody, because I don't feel like I love that way now, but that was the only way I knew how to love then. Like if I'm going to love you, you're going to be everything.
Yeah.
And
chasing a high.
Yeah.
Basically, like no different than drugs and what people use them for.
Not big on co-writing, but I co-wrote that with Jared Anderson too. And that was like one of those moments where I was like, I want to write a song called 8 Months Sober. It's about getting sober from love. And we just kind of like framed it in the framework of an addiction, and it came together really quickly.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
Cut. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. So moving forward, like we can buzz through some of this a little quicker, but moving forward from that, I know you had kind of done some of that before, but I think it really, like 2020 kind of gave you the opportunity and lit a fire in you to do what you were doing, house concerts and backyard concerts, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, I feel like...
And why?
Okay.
Why house concerts over...
Yeah. So I feel like I was really struggling when I was living here with finding a connection to... I mean, all songwriters are struggling with this. Finding a connection to a publisher or a label, right? And I felt like when I would go to like pub meets, they would have no critiques about my songs. It would just be like, go write with other people, like network with people and stuff. And
or they would ask you who you are.
Yeah, like who you're writing
because that matters.
Yeah, who you're writing with.
Song.
It was more about like connections than it was actually about a song being good and whether or not it can connect to an audience, you know. And that really, you know, really pisses me off because I'm such a believer in the song. The act of creation is sacred to me. And when people capitalize off of it.
Like to me, it should make no difference what names are attached to it or who created it. If a song is great, a song is great.
Exactly. And I think that it makes me kind of angry on behalf of the audience, because I feel like the audience, we think that we're getting the best of the best out of Nashville and out of the music industry, and we're not. The best comes through.
Though. Yeah.
But some great songs come through and great people come through. But there are some people who aren't willing to compromise their morals, their creativity, and I'm not saying everyone does, but like you're asked to compromise and sacrifice things, and if you're an artist that doesn't want to do that, you're not gonna get anywhere. And I feel like all my heroes like would never compromise the soul of their music, you know.
Would barely bend.
Chris Christopherson, like he wrote a song called To Beat the Devil, and it's like, if I never have a nickel, I'll never die ashamed, because the truth remains that no one wants to know. Like, maybe I'm going to keep writing the truth, and whether they want to know it or not, that's up to them, kind of, you know? So anyways, have that old school approach. I met some songwriters who were doing really well at house concerts called the Steel Blossoms. They don't tour as much, but they're like a great duo. And they do like more traditional country music, which I was doing at the time. And they're like, we're doing this. It's working out really well for us. You should do this. And I became obsessed with it. and started posting on Facebook, reaching out to fans like, can I come play in your house? All you have to do is invite people, give me a platform to tell my stories and play my originals.
Which again is such a vulnerable thing to even ask and put yourself out there to like, you're humbling yourself too, like in the same sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. It's like, you know, could get murdered, but
But
so far
probably get
hasn't
some
happened,
free food.
evidently. So yeah.
But yeah, so I started doing that. I traveled the country playing in California, Colorado, Kansas, Oregon, like all these places, North Carolina, and it starts snowballing. Like if people attend your concert and they like it, they'll host you, and you kind of go case by case of how much you're charging and whether you're charging. I was just doing it for donations, and if you have a certain amount of people, like you can make great money doing that and not putting a number in people's head. A lot of time you make way more money.
Especially in those settings too,
Exactly.
where people feel like they're truly getting an intimate, like one of a kind, like
Yeah.
show.
And the people who want to host people in their house tend to like be more, what's the way to say this? You know, like you
Hospitable, gracious.
they tend to have more resources, and you like go home, you know, with a full heart and a full wallet, and
They have more expendable income
Yeah.
to spend on things.
If you're having a house
entertainment
concert,
and
yeah, and I just like made all these great friends who love music and love art, and I was like, I don't want to be around these suits that like actually the most joy they're getting out of this is like a power trip. They're not getting joy out of the art.
Yeah.
I want to be around people who like feel something, and so I started building that, and I'm continuing to build that. I'm not against any sort of deal or any other way of doing things. I hope to tour and fill like small theaters someday. But I think house concerts, if you're an indie artist, like it's a great way to start if you're willing to put in the work, and you'll make unforgettable connections doing it.
Yeah, separate yourself from so many people who are not willing to put in that. And what's the point of gaining 7, 8 fans at a time maybe, or 25 fans? Like that mentality, I think, is something that people have now because of how easy it is to reach, how easy it appears to be to reach the masses with your art or whatever else.
Exactly.
But again, how many of those views turn into fans? It might end up being about between 10 and 20 anyways that ended up like actually becoming fans. So
yeah, and maybe you are connecting with people when you're like on a phone and you're posting a video. You are, but like you don't feel that. You, at the time that you're doing it, and like just to feel that energy, that's not to discount it, but just to feel that energy of like being in a live performance, looking in people's eyes and seeing them cry or laugh. It's like, that is why we are here on earth. It's important. We need it to fill our souls. And that is the most important thing to me. Like, I want every connection I have to be, I truly mean this. Like, I want it to be genuine,
authentic,
you know, to feel real. Yeah.
And I truly believe that that's the only way that you can create authentic connection is through true human, same spot, reality, like contact with people.
Exactly.
And yeah, what you said again, the intimacy of being able to sit in your own home and watch someone sing songs that you relate to so much, and actually get also time to talk about those things. And you're not, oh, we watched them on a stage sing that, I love that song, and then they have to go home and like don't get to increase the experience any further than that. It's just
exactly. Like I have some really great hosts in Napa and some just in general great music fans. Shout out Gina and Kenny. They like hosted me for a few house concerts, and I would play in their yard, and then the next day we would like poolside, just the guitar by the pool, and they're like, "Can you play that? Wait, why did you write that? Wait, where did that come from?" And it's just like so beautiful. It takes you back to like just being around a campfire, and that's
so
why
fulfilling.
Country music is so special to so many people, and that's what started it in the first place, you know?
Stories of real life. Yeah. was really cool.
Thank you.
And I've even seen now some bigger artists honestly follow suit and do. I remember Steve Mokler was doing a backyard concert, house concerts thing, not long after you'd started doing that stuff as well. And he had written Riser for Dirks that was already number one, and I think I'm not sure if it definitely was a top 20 or top 10, I think. So he had success and was doing pretty well, but I believe that he was a true artist as well, and that's where he felt comfortable and like felt like he was appreciated more probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an original idea. Like, people have been doing it, but I just
correct.
I think people sleep on it, and I hope they continue.
All person-to-person contact
just kidding.
is like, slept on, and the importance of it. Like, I truly believe that.
Yeah, I actually don't hope people continue to sleep on it, because I think it's great to, like, I have enjoyed connecting with other artists who do it. Like, I know a few people who do it, and we all have similar mindsets and can trade contacts and stuff, and it's giving the gift of presence too. Like, where none of us are present, back to what we're saying about like the phones, you know, we're just generally not present. Exactly.
Looking at this.
You know, and that, like, I don't mean that in like a pretentious way of like, I am giving you the gift
we're all
of
guilty.
presence.
Yeah, we're all
like,
guilty too. So it's not like we're not judging. We are also victims of what the culture and society has given us right now, and there are great things about it that, again, do allow us to do things that we wouldn't, like stay in contact with each other. And like, you know, there's so many musicians and friends that I do use that to stay in contact with, and reminders of like, hey, they're out there doing it too still. And like,
yeah, I just feel it's important for people to be like not anywhere near a screen and just looking in each other's eyes, and to even do that for just now? Like, excuse me, staring context. Like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel so uncomfortable.
She's blushing. Can we zoom in? Hit it. Oh, we don't have anyone for that.
Yeah, but just like an hour without your phone, like being next to someone or looking at someone, listening to them, that's so rare these days. And we should be spreading that. That's the gospel, and I'm trying to spread it, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know why I just did.
In Africa, I mean, it was so refreshing not having service half the time. And just kind of being. I was saying that I could probably recount like day one from the plane ride over, 2 weeks of my life. I could probably recount every day almost perfectly because I was not on that. Like,
That's
nothing
so
else was
true.
filling my brain. I wasn't reading other people's posts, and like, even you don't even realize how much of that clogs your brain up. That like, and derails your true like thought process and everything that quickly. You could do it. And I was like, crazy to think. I truly like remember and can almost feel like every second of that trip still. Yeah. And it's just because I was there. I was present.
Yeah, that's so true.
Well, and part of it too is like, if you, I will scroll through some reels.
Yeah, me too. I'm not hating on that.
But if I'm
literally addicted to my phone.
if I'm in a reel session, I'm like, I'm a victim. But like, let's say I watch reels for an hour, I close my phone, whatever. If someone walked up to me and said, "Hey, like, tell me something you just watched," I couldn't tell them. Like, I wouldn't remember a thing I just watched. Like, it's just brainless. I would
venture to say 9 people out of 10 would maybe be able to.
One funny thing.
That's so true.
And you probably watched 100, 200, and that's like what's scary about it too, is it would be so cool to take like a like a cabin trip and be like, hey, everyone put your phones in this little case.
I think we do that. We should do that.
Yeah, like just like a little
Whiskey Talkin like retreat.
Yeah,
And,
no phones.
Yeah, literally do that.
And honestly, we went to
we'll let people use their phone like, you know,
no
10 p.m. You get an hour with your phone.
I think that's too much.
Tell your parents you're live or whatever. Yeah.
I'm saying
up
you get
at 8 for the yoga.
You get 20 minutes. You get 20 minutes a day on your phone. Use it when you want.
Lights out, quiet time.
I think that would be
11 p.m.
yeah. In general, when I go into writes and stuff too, I don't. One thing that I won't do, if I use my phone, it's for actually writing down stuff on Google Docs or using Rhyme Zone. But in general, I put my phone down and I'll have someone else be typing or whatever. And I can't do it. I can't look at my phone and
same.
keep the same train of thought. And I know if I could be in there 8 hours and I'll walk out there with less anxiety.
Yeah.
Without eating, without anything, and like cut off from the world, just like living in my brain, which would normally cause so much anxiety. And I walk out there and just feel great, energized.
For me, like being on Google Docs, even during a co-write, it stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like, just something about that disconnects me from the creative part of my brain. Looking at the Google Doc, you know, that's why usually I'll bring like a journal and write it down, you know.
Old school.
And I know this is gonna. I'm in college. It affected me.
Say it.
But I hate the idea of like how kids nowadays have to use iPads. Like their iPads are their books, you know, or like their iPads are their.
Same.
Whereas like everything before, like when they started switching to that when I was in high school and college a little bit, they're like, yeah, you can just download the digital version, and I would get it, and I'm like, I can't even comprehend. Like I'm not comprehending anything that's on this. Like I don't know. It's just a weird.
There is a weird disconnect, and that's even like a weird. I'm a like minimalist at heart. Like even physical clutter and the idea of stacking up business cards or books or anything also messes with my brain. It's like almost feels like anchors to me. Like they really do. It's like, well, then if I move or I do anything, I have to take this stuff with me. And so like I was truly, I felt excited at first for the idea of digital storage stuff. And I'm like, that gives me even more anxiety because I don't even know what I have. And then there's so much stuff that I'm like, by the time I look through that stuff, I'm like, I don't know what I want to read or what I want to listen to. And I'm just exhausted from pure options, period.
That's so true.
Yeah, we went to Kiltony this last week, April, whatever. Sorry, I just wanted to brag. But it was cool because they had the little yonder bags you had to put your phone in.
Like Zanies does.
So like it was a really big, like it was at Bridgestone, like it was pretty much sold out. And nobody had a phone out, and it was like, whoa, like it was just very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna start.
That's
but it just adds to that, like
people's yards. Just force them to give me.
Because they did a show the 4th too, but nobody, you know, there were like people could text online, be like, yeah, Kid Rock was at the one on the 4th, all that stuff, but you didn't really know what the show was going to be like because guess what? Nobody has any video of it, like, and it's super cool. I was like, wow. I would truly
say that I've experienced both. Zanies most of the time for their stand-up, and they do the same thing. You put for multiple reasons. First of all, like a punchline is not the same as a song. Like it's ruined the more you hear it. Like obviously everyone should know that. And they try out material and stuff as well, but also it keeps you present. And there are times where I'd been in there a couple times randomly that they did not make you put the phone away, and I couldn't even tell you those people right now. I probably could not tell you who that was I watched. I know for a fact that I couldn't have walked out there and remembered as much as I remember from the other ones.
That's so true. Yeah.
Because you could repeat it, like walking out of there, I could be like, yeah, that bit was funny, and like, but I'd never committed it to my memory the same way I do when I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
No, it's such like
we'll start doing that with our guests too.
Yeah.
Bringing yonder bags.
Put your phone in this bag.
I'm just gonna do it to everybody, like my friends.
I could just put it over on the table and put it in the bag.
I know we're gonna talk.
Before we begin this coffee hang, please put your phone in the bag.
Yeah. I know we're gonna talk to each other for an hour and a half straight, but like I need your phone to be in it.
That should be
iconic.
One of our bits, and like we go down and like we'll just secretly film it. with friends, like that would
Can you
not expect you to be like, hey, sorry, man, I'm just doing this new thing. Can you put your phone in this bag before we start?
You know what? I have great friends because they would totally do that, I feel like. Yeah.
I would definitely be like...
Oh, I wasn't talking about you.
Well, I mean, I knew that. You said great friends, so yeah. Yeah, I'd be weirded out, but it's definitely something that, like, even with family and, like, my nephews, that I always, like, same thing. Even... whatever games, handheld games, anything, I try to like not let them use that when they're even around me and make them actually spend time talking and interacting, which they're all really great at. Their parents are really great at that, and they try to get away with a little more when they're around me, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like if I was ever a parent.
Apparently.
No, I don't know. I feel like everyone gets those iPads for their kids so young. And I'm like...
It's such a double-edged sword because, like, everything that they're going to need in life is going to revolve around that. Like, most jobs or anything now. So it's like, you want them to be so comfortable with it that it's not something... And maybe eventually they are so comfortable with it that it's not important to them at all. Like, it's just something that they utilize, not, you know...
I think just the problem is, like, the health
really
effects as well. Like, when your eyes see that... light and stuff like that there's stuff that a lot of stuff we don't even understand about that, you know?
Well, and they're like doing studies now too with like Cocomelon, like all the kid shows. Like
your favorite show.
It's actually I've been watching a lot of it lately. But they
Bluey or whatever.
That's a little older.
He's got a new one.
Cocomelon's like before they can talk sometimes. But they were doing like studies, and if like a kid was crying, they would play the like Cocomelon intro song, and they just stop crying. And they like they don't have consciousness. They just
not their mom talking to them.
Yeah, no,
or
nothing.
Holding them,
and that's like the scary part is like it's just like this quick like.
That is
here's a theme song.
Futuristic, like
that's
like,
weird.
Apocalyptic,
But one
weirdness,
time
man.
when my sister was pregnant with my niece, I was like being creepy on her stomach, and I was singing
Can we
Creep.
Do that while you're looking at the camera.
I have like had my hand. I was like, kick. Are you gonna kick? I was like, I don't know, copyright. I don't know if I should sing it, but I started singing Creep.
we have 0 subscribers. We just started, so
you just mess up the melody a little. You're fine.
I was like, when you were here before.
Can't do it, right?
I don't know.
I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo.
I was like, I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. And then the baby started kicking, and I was like,
that's it.
This is gonna be my best friend.
I don't know. Was like
That's like totally unrelated. I just wanted to tell you about that.
Unrelated and creepy, so that's a bonus. Yeah.
It was funny in the moment. I don't know.
No, it was funny.
Anyways.
Don't let the world tell you what's funny and what's not funny.
Yeah. I don't.
No, let us do that.
Let us do that for you. No, I feel like that's like a thing too. Like, I don't know. I was so weird in the intro for like fun, like I'm like, obviously I could be like, look, I'm a photographer, I've done this.
Sure, that's why.
Yeah, it wasn't because I was totally weird on purpose, but and I'm like, to me, I'm like, that's funny, like that's interesting. But there'll be people like, why did you do that? Yeah, it's like I don't care. Whatever. But it's like stuff like that where it's just don't. It's like your album, like don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be whoever that is.
That's a great point. Fear and how much, I mean, we could go a whole episode on how much of our lives are controlled by fear. Yeah.
I feel like it's
something so silly too. Even something that we could stop and re-record or whatever, we still, there's something in you that tightens up, and it's like, I'm going to look stupid or whatever. And to me, again, art forces you out of that in a way that you can utilize in the rest of your life as well. Like getting on stage every time, there's a certain amount of certainty when you step onto a stage. You know your songs, you know your music, you know what you're doing. The uncertainty is, are the lights going to work? Is the sound going to go out? Are people going to like it? Are people going to show up? Like, and getting past that fear, because that no matter what, at least I know what I'm doing up here. Like even if I mess up, like I've done before, And I think that that's a huge thing that helped me in the rest of my life to build relationships and everything. Not losing fear, because I don't think we ever lose it, but learning how to control it and overcome it in times that you need to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's super like interesting, because I feel like a lot of everyone's, not necessarily anxiety or like whatever people feel, I feel like it comes a lot from how you grew up, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it's not learned, but it's like part of you as you age, as you're in high school, the people you hang out with, things like that, where it's like the popular kids, and then there's the band nerds, and then there's
programmed, constantly.
Yeah, and it's everyone's put into these boxes of who you're supposed to hang out with and all that stuff, and a lot of people just follow that as they grow up
because it's easy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like in high school and a little bit of middle school and stuff, if you're like the outcast, I feel like a lot of times you end up becoming that more creative type, versus, not that like not popular people, sorry popular people, oh my goodness, but they're just like, they're the popular kids. They grow up and then they're like, okay, cool, I like, this was me, and now it was easy, it was comfortable, and then obviously they go through different struggles of like trying to maintain that personality type or that image of being popular. It's hard too.
Staying on all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't leave a lot of time for self-reflection or depth.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. When I was in high school, this is crazy. Like, I remember feeling when if I'd go on a date with a guy, which was not often because I was not beloved in high school. I remember like having literally the thought of like, I cannot be myself. Like, I have to hide they can't find out that.
Yeah, not yet.
Like,
not yet. Too soon.
No, it wasn't like I didn't even know how
ever.
to show who I am. And it's so weird because like now as an adult, that's my way of rooting people out.
You didn't know how to show who you were.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I had a best friend growing up who was always popular, and she traumatized me because she would like love me and then hate me, and in the phases when she would love me, she would like bring me into her popular group and be like, you could be like us, wear some lip gloss, wear some this, that, and I did everything she said. Yeah, and because all I wanted was love. I just wanted a boyfriend, and that never happened in high school. But I did everything she said because I thought this is what's going to make boys like me. And I thought, like, I just need to act like her. I can't act like myself. If I act like myself. And the reality is, like, that's why, I mean, in high school, you're just too young and stupid anyways. But that's why I never had a boyfriend. That's why I didn't have any real friends in high school, because, like, I never showed who I was. I thought, like, hide it at all costs.
Yeah. I think because truly we're all on the surface level and exterior, what makes us different most of the time, not much. And you growing depth in yourself and your personality at such a young age, where people still haven't, because of what you were doing. Like, there's so much introspection and reflection that comes with writing and creating, because you can only truly create something that you've felt or know or like experienced. And so I think you tap into stuff that a lot of kids and people don't tap into until they have to be on their own. So like being like, how do you just go straight ahead and be vulnerable like in high school to some boy who hasn't even thought past Friday night and football? Like,
that's true.
And so you kind of like, that would be a very tough thing to do. And I know that I was the same way. Like, I was kind of a class clown and played sports stuff. No one even knew that I played music for a couple years before I finally did a talent show. And, you know, like, I was very surface level and funny and athletic, and that was it. How do you show your depth to people that don't have depth yet?
That's a good point.
Or aren't aware of their depth.
I don't even know if it's like the depth. I feel like it's where high school is a really big spot where people like to, like, what fear are you focused on?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
Like, popular kids want to have like, their fear is not being like this image of like beauty or like whatever. I play football and I'm the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like band is like
It's very
band.
short. It's very short-sighted fears.
Yeah, it's just all fear-based, but like presented in different ways. Like if you're a band kid, you're probably, your fear is like wanting to be part of something, or like you want to be included in a group. Or like if you're a science guy, it's just like everyone's got a fear. Like it's not, that's the thing that's like important, is like popular kids are scared of things. Like,
fear of being, honestly, fear of being alone and stuff is, I know, like looking back, why I gravitated towards sports and team sports and everything, and why it probably took a little while for me to go out like and tell people I was playing acoustic solo, and like because I'd always been a part of a team, and that had became my identity. Like I was a team member, I was a team worker, I was helping people. I wasn't necessarily putting myself on display, I guess.
And I think like obviously there's experiences, we've talked about yours and everybody's, but for you is like that obviously played a major role in how you got into music and becoming like your own self too, right? I mean,
yeah. My stomach's growling. I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of the opposite of what Ryan said. Like, I just got used to being alone all the time, and then I mean, it's very uncommon to be a mostly solo writer in Nashville, and like I prefer that, and I think that I prefer solitude, and I'm quite introverted in that way. And I was just listening to you guys and thinking, like, wonder if that's why I'm like that, you know? So
you write for yourself a lot too, and I think that's the biggest distinction of what you're saying is, who else knows how you feel truly? Who else is you? No one. So like when you write,
that's totally how I feel. Yeah.
How can someone else? If it would literally be like someone telling you who you are. Like, you know, and how you create art and how you do it for yourself. You wouldn't want someone to come in and say, this, like, that's not how I feel, or like, that's not how I would do that.
The editing of like a feeling has always rubbed me wrong, I guess.
Right? Yeah.
That's why my best co-writers are always people who are like, this is what we're going with. This is what's happening if we're writing for me. And it's like, this is the feeling. You can't call it weird. You can't try to like fit it into a box. Like, run with it. And that's when you make a great song, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
We, in all the times that we write together, and the one time we were writing for you, we switched songs midway. And, and it was just because something inspired you, and we'd spent a lot of time getting excited about that first idea. And neither Jared or I, like, for a second was like, no, let's go back to this. We're like, nope, if you're feeling that, that's what we're running with. Okay, let's go there.
You guys like trusted me.
Yeah.
And I trusted you, and that's what's important.
A huge portion of being a songwriter, a professional songwriter, in my opinion, is it's not about you if it's not about you.
Yeah, that's true.
You're there to help and aid in ideas and creation. You're not there to create something for yourself.
Yes, exactly. I agree with that. And I like writing for other people. It's not my absolute favorite because I'm just so like emotional, and it's like when I write, I want it to be a communion with my like heart and soul, you know?
Yeah.
But I also I do like the feeling of sitting in a room with someone and them being like, if they can be real and be like, I feel this way and I want to write this, and it's like, all right, let's go there. Like, I like that a lot. I think my problem with co-writing is when it gets to be like, my publisher says I don't have enough fast songs and it needs to be blah 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 BPM, and like, don't mention, you know, being told like, can't use that big of a word, or you can't, like, that shit pisses me off so much.
There's a lot of people that would get in line there with you too. I know that because I mean, Sam Hunt, great example of using words that, like, I know in so many writes would be like, that doesn't sing well, and they wouldn't give it a shot, even not figure out how to make it work.
Trust the process. Like, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, moving forward, all this great leeway into kind of the song that you were going to play.
Yeah.
As we're talking about fear and everything, and again, us thinking that everyone's constantly thinking about us. So if you want to, tell us about that real quick and
Yes.
play it for us, and
Figure
then
out how to use this cable.
we'll all
Okay.
chime in on how we've so stupidly been egotistical and made the same things over and over, tortured ourselves over stuff that didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Well, and while you're figuring that capo out, no, that was like, I asked her that because when I was thinking about it, like when I started doing, give me a nice like sad. I'm just when I started doing photo and video in college and things like that, a lot of it, if I would have been like an all-star whatever player, or if I was really good at sports or something, I probably would have just stayed in college, been like, this is the path, like people tell you this is the way to do it, right? But that whole time, like even through high school and like, I wasn't like a weirdo. I was an okay kid. Like I hung out with friends.
Sure.
But I wasn't like it,
I'm just kidding.
I bet you weren't.
Your family, everyone had been ingrained in our community for a very long time, and
Yeah, but with sports, like I made my identity at that point. Like obviously a lot of kids do. Yeah. But I wasn't like necessarily like succeeding real well at that, or at least, you feel like people are like, no, you don't fit that role. Like I played third base in baseball from the time I was 9 until I was in high school, and then in high school they said, no, you're gonna go play outfield. I'm like, but wait, like this is where I grew up. And so through all that, I think that's what made me less dependent on people and made me want to do things that were my own thing. Where you're just like, look, like, you can, like, people aren't going to kill you. Like some people will. But
technically that happens every day.
Right. Someone might kill you, but like if you really want to make a life you want, you have to do it.
No one's going to do it for
you. Even the people you trust to help you with that, like, at some point you need to make it happen yourself. So.
Yeah, that's so true.
And great point too, because it's really hard to allow people to help sometimes. Based on prior experiences where you did feel like you were shoved in a direction that you wouldn't have naturally went. And to tell the truth, we all need help. I don't think there's anything or any industry that you can be successful in without help. And you can make it appear that way as much as you want, but even if it's just the people that are having you come play at their houses, like you're not doing it alone. They're helping you. And I think we don't view it that way as often as we should.
And that's why I would like to thank today's sponsor, BetterHelp.
But for real, that would actually be a good one. I don't know if they would be down.
We're their target demo. So, but no, it's 100%. Like, you got that thing ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right,
let's hear it.
Okay.
Wait, you gonna do the intro?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Okay, so I got this idea probably about a year ago, sang the idea into my voice memo, forgot about it. That's just the story of all my songs. And and essentially it's just like I'm always anxious. As soon as we wrap this, I'm going to go think about all the things that I said that I am embarrassed that I said. And
I've kept notes for you, so I've tried to structure to help you your anxiety. I have a lot of notes that you should be anxious about.
Thank you so much. Thanks, I need that.
See, helping.
So anyways, like everything, I think everybody does this, but when you're trying to sleep, you're replaying a conversation in your head like, you dumbass, you shouldn't have said that. And that's just essentially my whole life. Probably if I had to put it at a percentage, I would go 40. And so that's where this idea came from.
That's only because you care, though. Like, not everyone truly does that, if we're being honest. I like to think most people do, but you care about
Yeah.
what you do and how you're perceived.
I think I care a little too much, and I think that it's just part of, like, I mean, to be completely honest, like, this career is like a very self-absorbed career, especially when you're doing it all yourself. Like, you're obsessed with your image and how you look to people.
It's not your choice. Like, you have to do it. Like,
yeah. But, like, sometimes you just, like, get over yourself, you know? It doesn't even matter that much. It doesn't matter at all, actually. We're all gonna die. And
I was told, like, to that point, like, I was told, because I would passively be like, they were like, man, you're great, or whatever, and I'm like, oh, thanks, yeah, I'm like, I'm trying, or, you know, just brush off compliments to the point where people would also be like, you gotta be more confident, and I'm like, well, I am confident in what I'm doing, but I don't want to sound like a dickhead or like self-absorbed, like by saying, yeah, I am, huh? Like, and that's such a gray area of being able to be confident in yourself and your abilities and what you're bringing. And I think that band did a great job at it, actually.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Making it about the fans and the people and not yourself is a great way to deflect that. If you're writing real stuff that people are going through and care about. And I think that's what you do really well.
Thank you so much. I try to, and like, I know that a lot of my fans are like weirdos that struggle with anxiety too. And weirdos not in like a weird way. Weirdos like me. You know?
Oh, well, like weird or like weird?
Let me start over. I know like a lot of my fans also feel like misfits and feel like, I think I'm a weirdo. I think that I can't be normal in normal situations. And I think like a lot of my fans have confided in me. They feel the same way. And so this song is for me, and it's also for them. And it's called People Aren't Thinking About You.
I love it.
Hopefully my Nashville allergies aren't going to prevent me from hitting the high notes.
I just heard this yesterday in the kitchen. She played through it, and I kind of tried to tune out a little, and I couldn't, because I wanted, like, I was like, she needs to play that on the podcast. And I wanted like an authentic reaction to it as well, but I just could not stop listening to it, because it's just real and fun and cool, and yeah.
Thank you. That's my inner monologue. Here we go. I put a picture on Instagram, but I took it down, 'cause the caption was too long and my stomach looked too round. Then I catastrophized and analyzed who saw it. And I'm perfectly aware of how ridiculous that sounds, but sometimes I'm suspicious all my friends are faking. And I secretly think the cashier at the grocery store hates me. A few hundred years ago, nobody thought like this. We were all too busy trying to survive. But now I lie around and worry about what people think, since I don't have to worry about staying alive. So I'm writing this song just to self-remind. People aren't thinking about you all the time. So I try my best to not let my mind run too far. I go hiking and I hug my dog and kill plants in my yard. And I try my best to live inside reality. But our social lives exist within the construct of a screen. So it's no wonder that we've all become narcissists. And at the risk of sounding kind of Darwinist, a few hundred years ago, nobody thought like this. We were all too busy trying to survive. But now I lie around and worry about what people think, since I don't have to worry about staying alive. So I'm writing this song just to self-remind. People aren't thinking about you all the time. And while you're sitting around thinking about what they're thinking about you, they're just sitting around thinking you're thinking about them too. A few hundred years ago, nobody thought like this. We were all too busy trying to survive. But now I lie around and worry about what people think, since I don't have to worry about staying alive. So I'm writing this song just to self-remind. People aren't thinking about you all the time. Oh, people aren't thinking about you all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So first off, I'm super guilty of such narcissistic behavior. That doesn't, the hard part is it doesn't feel that way. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like I genuinely care what other people are thinking of me. But truth be told, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Since this is called Whiskey Talkin, that happens the most. Honestly, we talk about it all the time. Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, oh, was I an idiot last night? And like, man, what do they think? They're probably talking about me right now. And then split screen, the other person waking up being like, oh man, was I an idiot last night? They're probably thinking about me right
Exactly.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very like everyone's always constantly just like your chorus there. It's nobody really is thinking about what you did last night. They're thinking about what they themselves did.
Yeah.
So the whole time you're like, oh no, and then honestly, no one cares. Like even when I'm getting blasted on Facebook for random stuff, you're in your head, you're like,
We
oh
could do
no,
a
this
whole
is
episode on this one.
this is so scary and sad, and at the same time you're like, but wait, after today nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
There,
That's just
there's a
boomers
couple
doing what
different-
boomers do.
There's a couple of different points that you bring up there, but as morbid as it like sounds, like there's the fear thing and stuff too. There's part of my life where I used it to overcome a lot of things, and that fear is I am going to die. Like that person that I'm afraid of talking to is going to die as well. And as morbid as it sounds, it's also incredibly freeing. Like,
yeah, it's liberating.
yeah, to be like, what does it matter? Like, and also how long would it matter? Like, I'm not saying go hurt people and murder people or anything, but like the good stuff, like going up and like saying hi to a stranger or whatever.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And like as someone who believes in God too, like I think about how small we are and how insignificant we are, and like sometimes I used to do this every morning, but I just don't take care of myself anymore. But like I used to do this every morning where I would meditate, I would like say a prayer, and then I would literally imagine me, and then a bird's eye view of my house, and then a bird's eye view of my town, and then a bird's eye view of my state, and then a bird's eye view of my country,
so
then a
forth,
bird's eye view of and just keep going. And like I would just be like, I'm significant, and I know it. Thank you so much. Like, you know, it's just a liberating thought. Yeah. You know,
and
it's beautiful.
Back to that, to
did I say significant? I meant insignificant.
I know it. Yeah, I know what you meant. But you are also significant. Like you are significant in your community and to your fans and all of that. Like on the grand scale, are we just a piece of sand? Absolutely. But I think if everyone started giving up even trying to be significant in their circles, what would the world look like?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where there would just be chaos and nothing good would happen.
Exactly.
So you are, but also I get that point as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's like just a little bit of nihilism. Like not too much. Just a healthy dose. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, especially when you're in a creative art, creative art, whatever you're in, if you're in something where people know you for what you do personally, not like your business, not like, you know, if you're a small business even, but when you're not just like an employee that's doing something for a larger corporation.
Yeah. When you're not just a cog in a big money machine.
But I feel like you're better at being self-aware of knowing, oh man, people are gonna like be very aware of what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, big time.
And you try really hard to not think about that, but like in the back of your head you're like,
well, you know why? Because we get so much
mentality.
Feedback all the time.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost
have to ask for it either.
Yeah, you don't have to ask for it.
It just comes at
like,
you.
I remember I think I have less confidence as a performer than I did when I was younger, because like I had never heard anyone tell me, you're fired from this gig.
Yeah.
You told this joke we didn't like, been fired for telling dad jokes quite a few times, and which is
There's
ridiculous.
no limit on this podcast of dad jokes. Remember?
Well, we're gonna hit one right after this rant. I think we need to. But I sometimes get like frustrated with myself because I'm already deciding what people are gonna think or say about me before they've even done it, and it's like I never used to do that. But that one time when I let my guard down and I used to perform and I gave it my all and I didn't think anyone was thinking bad. They were. Some of them were. Like a very small number. But I never forgot them. And I never will. I know where they live.
Your name.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like,
she pulls out a whiteboard from behind there. All their names across it. Was that one crossed out up there?
don't pay attention.
I actually kind of like that guy. But I do think it comes to... obviously you're way more aware of it.
Yeah.
But I think you handle it better too. Because when I've thought about this a lot in like the last year, where it's like, if you do something wrong, whoever, if Morgan Wallen throws a chair off a bar, it's going to be online, right? Yeah. Whereas if I'm at a factory and I click the wrong button and it costs the company $25,000, guess what? I'm getting yelled at by my boss, or I get fired.
Yeah.
Nobody else knows. It's just those. It's within that little circle of your life.
Correct, yeah.
Whereas if you're like publicly facing doing something, you obviously think about it more. But I feel like you get better at handling it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here we are just putting ourselves out there more. Like if we weren't doing it enough.
Yeah.
Here's another chance for us to talk and say something stupid.
I was just thinking that, like, being seen too much. It hurts. It's scary.
The other point, back to the song, also what a first world problem. Like,
Yes.
we create problems because surviving is not a problem anymore. Mm-hmm. Finding food is not a problem. Like finding shelter, and not for everyone. Again, that's a different
very first
problem,
world.
But like then that's what we do. I'm like I take those moments also to talk to myself and self-reflect that look at this. Like why are you thinking that this one little thing is so big that it's taking up a day, a minute, a whatever. Like move, keep going. Like don't stop for that stuff, but like take the time to reflect. That was one thing in Africa too, that like the poverty gap is by far the biggest I've seen in any country that I've been to. Way worse than Mexico or Belize, in my opinion. Like I mean, it truly is. Like there's this and then there's only this. And oddly, just some of the happiest, sweetest, like just smiling people that I've seen, like anywhere. And the whole time I'm like, wow, like in America, if someone cuts you off in traffic, it will ruin your day.
Yeah.
Like there are people that like that's, oh man, traffic and blah. I was like, yeah, I'm guilty of that. And you see this and you're like, you see people with absolutely nothing almost, and they're living and surviving and doing it happily. Like, and it's just something that was so refreshing to see. And I guarantee that it's going to continue to change my life moving forward too. To the point of your song is like, that's part of it, is we create problems that don't exist because staying alive has just become easy for us in this country.
Yeah, and that's like kind of what I'm referring to in the song is like, it's survival brain. Like we have, there's a reason why we think those things. Like we're trying to survive, and we don't have to go pick berries
in a different
and like
arena now.
Kill deer or something. Although some people do still pick berries and kill deer, which is more power
and try to make sourdough bread.
And but like,
you think that?
So your brain's like, how do I need? Your brain's like, how do I need to survive in this environment? Oh, I need people to like me, and it's like
it hasn't lost that like that instinct to figure out how to survive. It's now again surviving in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, or being significant in a different way than like just that. And that part of your brain, like, again, we've not evolved out of that. This is all pretty fresh, even to us. Like, if you're thinking about evolution or anything in general, we're only a couple generations out of, like, having to still find food and really like work for food and like the convenience of everything now. That part of our brain's still there, so it's like, what can it focus on?
Yeah.
And normally it goes to social aspects, and like how to survive socially.
It's a social survival now, where it's not necessarily like going
physically.
And, but people who don't understand anxiety, people who live in like, like my Ukrainian relatives that I know,
my
like
Ukrainian,
like, you know relatives. What I'm saying? People who live in countries where they have to continue to survive, they don't understand anxiety. People who grew up in the like 50s, like our grandmothers and their mothers, like they don't even know what, you know what I'm talking about? People say like, the World War II generation, like they don't understand that, or even people after that.
My grandma, the stuff that like I remember her ever worrying about was what she was going to make for dinner for us, or like those were concerns which were innate human concerns for survival physically and everything. It wasn't anything else. It was just, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Have you been fed?
It's literally like food and like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't articulate that very well, but you know what I mean.
Well,
like,
I made a joke midway through, and
that was just
derailed you a little
really
bit.
Rude and terrible.
And then now you're thinking about the joke, and if it was too much, and
you're like, well, my Ukrainian family.
I don't really know what to call.
Was like just enough calls
I don't really know what to call them, but they're like.
I was like, you got one? Is that legal?
You got one.
Yeah. All right, we are wrapping things up now. I knew that we would be talking for forever with Megan here. We cut a bunch of stuff out that we could probably keep talking about. So thank you, Megan, Megan Katarina, for being a part of this.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to a very quick little post-section thing that we're going to do with rapid-fire questions. It will just be, we ask the question, you answer within a couple seconds, first thing that comes to your brain, and then we just move on, and we'll try not to laugh or disrupt the process as we go here.
Okay, go.
All right, so this is Whiskey Talkin Rapid Fire Q&A, and we are sitting with Megan Katarina. And because you mentioned this before, we're going to start with this. Hit us with a dad joke.
Did you hear about that new restaurant on the moon?
I did not.
Great food, no atmosphere.
All right, insert sound effect. Drum. All right, we got it. Tennessee or Florida?
Florida.
Quick. Dream venue to headline.
The Caverns.
Ooh, which ones?
In Tennessee.
Okay. Last song you listened to on repeat.
I
know.
Never Be Like You by Flume.
All right.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna have to look that up, actually. All right. Most embarrassing moment on stage.
Oh, there's a lot to choose from. There's a lot to choose from.
I thought this was rapid fire.
I don't know. There's a lot of embarrassing moments.
One embarrassing moment.
Multiple times I've called people old on stage, like messing with them. Like, how old are you? Oh, you're old.
kind of like Caleb starting out this podcast.
Karma coming back around to me.
All right. So, like, in what context? You were just
it's because
look at all you old people.
It's because I'm an old soul, and I tend to relate more to old people. Older people tend to come to my show. I'm an old soul. I tend to relate more to like people who are older, and they tend to attend my shows. And I'm like, look at you.
Non-offensive answer. So good job. All right. Last one. If someone slides in your DMs, what's a guaranteed turnoff?
I don't know. Probably green flags.
Think about that, guys. Like, oh, this is all too good. Nah. All right. And I think that is it.
Yeah. Again, this is Whiskey Talkin with your hosts, Ryan and Caleb. Thank you, Megan, for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
I know you're overthinking it already, but you were wonderful. You sounded great the whole time. You didn't have any mess ups at all, at least that the audience saw.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
And yeah, make sure you guys are hitting subscribe below, following us on Instagram, YouTube, probably TikTok, probably Spotify.
X.
I don't know, anywhere you can find
SpaceX.
anything.
All right, from Nashville, thank you guys for sharing your time, a glass, and some stories with us.
And remember, drink responsibly and speak freely, or speak responsibly and drink freely. And we'll catch you on the next episode.